Going deeper into the dissonance here in the United States of the conflict, the discerning opinions, not only in the White House, but in the public as a whole, I would love to hear or for you to shed a light on, the social reality that's in Iran with this regime, the human rights. How are these how are these really unfolding, and how are they contrasting in terms of the West, on the values of the West? Just because I think it's important for our listeners to understand, and for myself too, to understand truly the social fabric of Iran, within embedded in this regime's control.
So the regime has the backing of a minority of the population now. So you have had several rounds of boycotting of the election over the past few years, even by the regime's own statistic, which is always, trumped up numbers. The majority of people have boycotted the elections over the last few years. You have had 3 waves of widespread protests over the last few years. Each time, because at FTD we track them, each time it has been in more than 150 cities and towns. Each time the regime, if you look at the number of people which have been killed in this protest, you have thousands of people who have been killed, thousands who have lost their eyes because they have been shooting people in the eye. You have had tens of thousands of people who have been arrested, tortured. So the regime really used a very violent response to be able to stay in power. So the only thing that right now saves the regime is its repression machine. And for example, on the issue of hijab, you see that majority of people, even in their own polling, sometimes they publish it. Their own polling show that people don't want the Sharia to be imposed on them. But the regime has to do it because, again, this is it in its DNA. And what keeps it in power, it's this oppression machine that in this oppression machine, you have these radical Islamists. So if it accepts some reforms, then it will, it cannot stay as it is, because then that oppression machine won't be the same as before. Yes, you will have people who get money to oppress people, but those who get some money to oppress people, they are not going to risk their life. Those who are risking their lives are the radical Islamists. So it has a very narrow base now. The base is getting narrower and narrower. So that's why I'm saying it's in a very weak position now. You have a majority of people who don't like the people, who don't like the regime. It doesn't mean all of them are coming to street, because coming to street in Iran means getting killed, getting shot, getting tortured, being sent to prison. So, but still, like each time you see, you have, I think our estimate is that the last time you had a few 100,000 people coming to street across the country. But the moment that this oppression machine shows the slightest sign of weakness, you will see millions of people coming. And that's the time that the dam will break and the regime will fall. So I think that's what we really need to work on again. We need to maximize the pressure on the regime and maximize the support for the people. And really, the U.S. government hasn't done that. So I'm an economist. One of the things I do is to follow the sanctions enforcement. And right now, Iran is exporting around 1.7 million barrels of oil. So before sanction, that was like 2.4, 2.5. So it's very close to its pre-sanction number for the oil export. Since Biden took power, Iran has exported like $122 billion of oil, and considering it with the 15% discount to Brent, So it's not a full price, discount price, which I think is realistic, but that's $122 billion just for oil. And you look at the non-oil export, it was actually, over the last few years, it has been the highest number of their non-oil export in their history. So the Biden administration, for whatever reason, they thought if, okay, we are not enforcing they have an unwritten deal with the regime that we are not enforcing the sanctions. You don't make the bomb when we are in the White House. I think that's the deal they have right now, because it doesn't make any sense that they really don't enforce any sanctions.